Hello and welcome back to our Lord of the Rings LCG solo progression series. And today's quest is the Nightmare version of Over the Misty Mountains Grim, which was the second scenario in the Overhill and Underhill Deluxe expansion, and the second out of 6 total scenarios in the Hobbit saga. A quick reminder, in this series we're playing through each quest in chronological order of the game's initial release, and we'll only be using player cards that were available at the time of this quest's release. I'm calling this deck A Wizard is Sometimes Late because with this deck we're really relying on Gandalf and Saruman, especially Saruman. Saruman in our opening hand is really important, so if you have a playthrough where you just can't quite get a Wizard, an Istari character in your hand, you could struggle. But we're trying to ensure, again, that we have Saruman in our opening hand. So we have 3 copies of him, and then a new card that I've not used yet, Seeing Stone, the Seeing Stone. 0 cost, neutral event, doomed 1. Search your deck for a card with a doomed keyword and add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. So it's very unlikely if we don't have a Saruman or a copy of the Seeing Stone, we'll mulligan. And 6 cards out of 50, you've got a really good chance of having one of those cards and ensuring that you do have Saruman in your opening hand. Another card worth mentioning is We Are Not Idle. Last recording, which was We Must Away Airbreak of Day, I just mentioned that I had a couple of trash cards I had to get to 50. And I just wish that I had included We Are Not Idle because, we did have leadership access through A Song of Kings. But if you ever have leadership access and you really don't need 50 cards, this is a great card to include. I just tend to forget about this card a lot, so it's worth mentioning. As long as you have leadership access and you don't want 50 cards, you wish that you could have less, this is like having a 47 card deck because the action does not require you to have a dwarf hero. You can exhaust 0 dwarf heroes to add 0 resources to a hero's resource pool and draw a card. So it's just a way to trim your deck size down to 47. Obviously, a lot of decks, you're trimming your deck down to 50. That's usually the case. And so it's not like it's going to always be a useful card, but definitely worth mentioning. So we have a lot of card draw, and we're going to rely heavily on Gandalf and Saruman, the 2 Istari characters. Obviously, we're not using Radagast in this deck, but this is a really fun deck. I feel like it's a little quirky and plays a lot different than the usual mechanics that I sort of employ. So let's get to the quest and see how we do. Okay, we will look at our opening hand. And again, I just will always mulligan for either Saruman or the Seeing Stone. Since we have the Seeing Stone, I'm just going to stop. It doesn't matter what else I have. I'm going to make sure that I have one of those 2 cards in my hand. And of course, Bilbo Baggins. This is the Overhill and Underhill Bilbo. The first player gains control of Bilbo Baggins. He cannot gain resources from player card effects. If Bilbo Baggins leaves play, the players lose the game. So we can use him. He's with us at all times since we're the first player throughout the entire game. His resources can pay for neutral cards, also for several effects on the encounter cards that require Baggins resources. Okay, so the Nightmare Setup card tells us to remove the following cards in the following quantities and to shuffle in the Nightmare cards. The only difference between regular Over the Misty Mountains Grim and Nightmare is this effect, the when revealed on stage 3B, is just a little bit altered, and we'll get to that in a minute. Right now, Stone Giant shouldn't be in the staging area. This is Dragon cards just being helpful. So for setup, we are supposed to create 2 encounter decks. One includes cards from the encounter sets Over the Misty Mountains Grim and Western Lands, indicated by those 2 icons grouped together on the far right. And then the other encounter deck is comprised of the Great Goblin and Misty Mountain Goblins encounter sets, indicated by those 2 icons there kind of to the left. They look like orc heads. And so we set aside the second one, the Goblin-themed deck. It's a set aside out of play. And so the current deck is utilizing Over the Misty Mountains Grim and Western Lands. So the set aside deck is right here under second encounter deck. And so we flip the card, and 0 progress needed. After a refreshing stay in the House of Elrond, Bilbo and his companions resumed their quest for the Lonely Mountain. But to reach Erebor, they first had to climb the high pass over the Misty Mountains. When revealed, each player may search his deck for 1 treasure card and add it to his hand, and then shuffle his deck. We don't have any treasure cards. I'm not playing campaign, so we can't make use of that. Then advance to stage 2A. So we go directly to 2A, the mountain pass. When he peeped out in the lightning flashes, he saw that across the valley the stone giants were out and were hurling rocks at one another for a game and catching them and tossing them down into the darkness where they smashed among the trees far below or splintered into little bits with a bang. When revealed, we search the encounter deck for one copy of Stone Giant and add it to the staging area. So that's why he's here. Just Dragon Card's default setup just has him in staging for us already. Definitely a tough enemy to deal with. There are 3 in this deck, so we'll try to ensure that a second one does not enter the staging area. While at least one Stone Giant is in the staging area, the Galloping Boulders card gains Surge. And so Saruman's really going to help us out with that. Forced, after a Stone Giant engages a player, that player chooses and discards one ally he controls. We don't want to engage him. If we ever do, we do have a couple of copies of Hinemarth, and so he would be the ally that we would have to discard. Okay, so now this is where there's a little bit of swinginess with the quest. Just a little bit, we have to reveal a card. And so let's do that. And it is more like a grocer. Okay, so let me go ahead and shuffle that back into the deck. I'm going to force us to do the one that inspired the Saruman theme deck. So it's a Treachery. Well, actually, let me show you. So on enemies, there are 2 Stone Giants additional to the one in staging. So sometimes during setup that comes out, and that's definitely the least, the worst card that can come out, I think. But what we would do if that ever did happen, we would want to get rid of him ASAP. So we would sneak attack Gandalf in and damage him for 4, then engage him when we're ready. Obviously, we would discard Hinemarth if we had an ally, if we have him in play, because of the force effect. Then we sneak attack Gandalf in and damage him for 4. So he's at 8 damage. He attacks. We use Frodo's response. And so that means our threat's going to go up. But hopefully we can have him at least ready. And so it just goes up by 4. And then we attack with Gandalf, who was sneak attacked in during combat. And he attacks for 4 and destroys Stone Giant. So that's how we would deal with a second Stone Giant. Denethor's action is going to be used each round just to make sure that a Stone Giant does not enter staging. Let me go ahead and shuffle him back into the encounter deck here. Okay, so then locations, nothing really difficult. If any of these locations come out, there's not one in particular we are not wanting to see, maybe Dim Valley, but this is why I decided to build the deck with Saruman, because of Guffawing of Giants. If this ever comes out during setup, used to be, initially my deck was, I used Eleanor. And so if this ever came out, I would use her response during setup. But then that could absolutely, obviously with Eleanor, then you have to reveal another card. It could be a Stone Giant. So I feel like I have a little bit more control with Saruman. So let's just go ahead and just force this to happen. So this comes out during setup, and usually this is an instant loss most of the time. When revealed, the first player chooses one Stone Giant in the staging area. At the end of the quest phase, that Stone Giant engages the player with the highest threat. So that's going to be, I can't cancel that with Test of Will. You know, if I had Eleanor, I could exhaust her in response, and then I'd have to reveal another card to see what it would have been. It would have been Lightning Splinters, and we would have had to discard 3 cards, but just a little bit of swinginess there. So at the end of the quest phase in the first round, this Stone Giant is going to engage us because he's been identified as the target for this when revealed. It says if there are no Stone Giant cards in the staging area, search the encounter deck for one Stone Giant and add it to the staging area. So that's going to happen at the end of questing. And so this is where Saruman becomes so important. Okay, so resource phase. And we're going to go ahead and play the Seeing Stone, Doomed 1. So let's go ahead and make sure we do that. Doomed 1. And we take the action, search your deck for a card with the Doomed keyword and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So we're going to grab a copy of Saruman. Here he is. We'll shuffle the deck. And then we're in planning here. Let's go ahead and play Deep Knowledge Doom 2, draw 2 cards. All right. I kind of like to know what the fact that I have a Peace and Thought means that I want to hang on to Denethor's resource more than Sam's. But let me go ahead and use Denethor's action real quick. Exhaust Denethor, action. Exhaust Denethor to look at the top card of the encounter deck. You may move that card to the bottom of the deck. Okay, it is Suspicious Crow. That's a problem for us, because if he comes out, the when revealed is going to make this card come out, and then another stone giant will enter play. So let's go ahead and move him to the bottom of the encounter deck, because I don't have a Test of Will yet. I really should have gone ahead and used Deep Knowledge, because if I had a Test of Will, I would have known it. But let's play Deep Knowledge. Doom 2. We drew 2 cards. All right, so I don't know what's coming, but what I'm going to do here is go ahead and try to hang on to this resource on Denethor. I'm going to spend 3 resources, 1, 2, 3, to play Saruman. Doom 3. And it says, response, after Saruman enters play, choose a non-unique enemy or location in the staging area. While Saruman is in play, the chosen enemy or location is considered to be out of play. So we're just going to flip him over. He's considered to be out of play. So I'm going to quest with Saruman and with Bilbo and with Frodo and with Sam. Just go ahead and get in as much willpower as possible. And so we reveal Narrow Ledge. Now it's worth mentioning, if Galloping Boulders had come out, this is why I love Saruman so much. Let me go ahead and just do that, just to show you how the deck works. Again, 1,000 things could have happened, but moving forward, we'll just let the playthrough happen. But let's just say a Galloping Boulders came out. Usually this would surge because a Stone Giant is in staging, and it makes Galloping Boulders surge. But there is no Stone Giant right now in staging, and so Galloping Boulders, when revealed, the first player chooses a questing character. That character takes 3 damage and is removed from the quest. Well, Saruman can take 3 damage without being destroyed. He's removed from the quest. This does not surge, and we made 6 progress. So, obviously, normally with Denethor, we just use him just to know what's coming. I don't always bury... I buried the crow, but usually I would only bury the giant. But, there are a few small little chinks in this deck's armor, but you can see how this really works well, because now, whereas in the past this was a real menace, Galloping Boulder constantly surging, just really created a lot of uncertainty. And so using Denethor, I'll know in the future if there's a Galloping Boulders coming up. If so, that's when we'll play Saruman, because you can take that damage, it doesn't surge, all that fun stuff. Okay, so we made 6 progress. We'll refresh. And during the refresh action window, we saved a resource for Denethor, but let's go ahead and use his action real quick. Exhaust Denethor to look at the top card of the encounter deck. We may move it to the bottom of the deck. All right. I don't really mind Suspicious Crow. What I'll do is I've got Expecting Mischief, so that's good. I'll leave him there. And then I'm going to spend this resource during the refresh action window. We're going to play Peace and Thought. Refresh action, exhaust 2 heroes to draw 5 cards. We're going to exhaust Bilbo and Frodo and draw 5 cards. This is so much fun, drawing cards with Peace and Thought. It's one of my favorite cards. And I'm feeling comfortable. It's always important to have a Test of Will, but usually with all this card draw, we're gonna have Test of Will pretty quickly. But just maybe a fragile moment the first round or 2. Okay, so at the end of the quest phase, or at the end of the round, we discard Saruman, and when he leaves play, now Stone Giant is back in play. If I had resources on Sam, I could pay for Valiant Sacrifice for the response. It's worth noting, I used to have a couple of copies of Word of Command, and during this refresh action window, a lot of times I would use Saruman, exhaust him during the refresh action window, and play that Word of Command to draw a card into my hand. But I just found that Peace and Thought's so much better, and Denethor's resources are just, he doesn't have tons of them, so it just really was not helpful ultimately. Okay, so that's the end of the round. Next round. Oops, I did 2 rounds. Let's go back to round 2. Okay, so we're in round 1. Round 2. There we go. And we know what's coming. It's going to be Suspicious Crow. We're going to use Denethor's resource to pay for Expecting Mischief. Just to get Sam up and running, let's go ahead and play a good harvest action. Name a sphere until the end of the phase. You can spend resources of any sphere when paying for cards that belong to the named sphere. We're going to say Leadership, and just go ahead and attach Steward of Gondor to Sam. And I used Frodo's resource and converted it to Leadership with a good harvest. We don't really need 2 copies of Will of the West, so let's go ahead and play Daron's Runes, drawing 2 cards and discarding Will of the West. We we have 2 in the deck, and I just don't need to have but 1. Okay, we will play Deep Knowledge, Doom 2, drawing 2 cards. And we're going to quest with Sam. And after questing during the action window, we'll use Denethor's resource to pay for Expecting Mischief. This says, action, deal 2 damage to the first enemy revealed from the encounter deck this phase. It has to be played during this action window. It says play during the quest phase before the staging step. So we reveal Suspicious Crow. He's got a win revealed, but before he's even added to the staging area, he's damaged by Expecting Mischief, 2 damage, and so he doesn't surge, or nothing would surge that was destroyed by Expecting Mischief. The win reveal wouldn't fire, etc. So our threat went up by 1 because Sam only quests for 3. And so things are going well. We'll refresh. And during the refresh action window, this is when I just used Denethor here. Action, exhaust Denethor to look at the top card of the encounter deck. We just want to know what's coming next round. That's perfect. So next round. And here's We Are Not Idle. We can take this action at any action window. We don't have to have a dwarf hero. Exhaust 0 dwarf heroes. X can be 0 to add 0 resources to a hero's resource pool and draw a card. So it's like we had 47 cards in the deck. Okay, we'll exhaust Steward of Gondor. And we'll go ahead and play. Do I want to play Daron's Runes? Sure, let's play Daron's Runes, drawing 2 cards. And we'll discard Hasty Stroke. We don't need it right now. We'll get it back later with a Will of the West. Okay, I'd like to save this resource for Peace and Thought. I don't necessarily want to use Doom cards, so there's no reason for me to right now. I've got a Test of Will for dealing with this. So we are just going to hang tight. We're going to quest and make a little bit of progress here. We reveal No Campfire, which has Doomed 1. And it says, when revealed, each player must choose 1, increase his threat by 4, or reveal an additional encounter card from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area. Let's just cancel that with Test of Will. Keeps our threat from going up by 4. We made 2 progress. We'll refresh. During the refresh action window, let's use Denethor's action. And it's Wind, Whip, Rain. Okay, we'll be able to get into. I'm not going to bury that because we will be able to get to a Test of Will. If not, all we would do is lose a Steward of Gondor, and we could always get another one. So let's go ahead and use, during the refresh action window, let's play Peace and Thought, refresh action, exhaust 2 heroes to draw 5 cards. So, lots and lots of card draw. I don't know, I just think this deck's really fun. It's just different for whatever reason. Okay, we do have a couple of copies of Risk Some Light. Sometimes that's helpful, like if we buried a Stone Giant and we don't have Hinamar, we don't know what's coming, maybe we would want to play Risk Some Light. Usually, you don't have 3 lore resources, but we would hope to have a good harvest, and we can use all the resources Sam has accumulated. And this keeps us from seeing that second Stone Giant. Okay, that was refresh action window. And so next round, let's play this action. We Are Not Idle, draw a card. And we'll play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard a Steward of Gondor. And let's think about what we want to do here. I don't have a Test of Will. I think it's fine for me just to discard Steward of Gondor. I've got plenty of resources. I don't really have any more card draw unless I sneak attack Gandalf in. Let's do that. So during questing at the beginning of the quest phase, we're going to sneak attack Gandalf in and draw 3 cards. Hopefully we'll get a Test of Will. There we go. Just keeps us from having to discard Steward of Gondor and play it again. Okay, so Gandalf's in play. Let's quest with him and Sam and reveal Wind, Whip, Rain. We'll cancel that with Test of Will. And we made 3 progress. And at the end of the quest phase, Gandalf comes back to hand. When he does, that means he's left play. So we're going to play all 3 copies of Valiant Sacrifice Response. After an ally card leaves play, that card's controller gains 2 cards. So 1, 2, 3. You can play several responses off 1 trigger. So we're going to draw a total of 6 cards. All right, we've got our Test of Will back. Really, Dwarven Tomb exists just to fish Test of Will back out of our discard pile, because there's just a lot of treacheries in this quest. All right, we will go ahead and refresh. And during the refresh action window, let's go ahead and play Peace and Thought. Well, no, let's use Denethor's action, actually. Okay, Lightning Splinters. What's cool is this deck has so many 0-cost cards, I really don't mind Lightning Splinters. Let's go ahead and play Peace and Thought. Refresh action, exhaust 2 heroes to draw 5 cards. There we go. And next round we'll draw, at the beginning of the 5th round, we're going to draw our entire hand. That's pretty slick. Okay, end of the round. So next round we've drawn our final card. So at the end of this round, I'm going to want to play a Will of the West and recur my deck here. Okay, so this is coming out, and I don't have to worry about canceling this with Test of Will. Let's go ahead and play Sneak Attack and bring Gandalf into play. And this time we're not drawing cards. We're going to lower our threat by 5. And we'll quest and reveal Lightning Splinters. When revealed, each player must choose and discard 3 cards from his hand. Each player assigns X damage among characters he controls, where X is the combined printed cost of the cards he discards. So I can discard a lot of these 0-cost cards, and there would be 0, but I also could put damage on Gandalf and it wouldn't be a problem. So I can just discard 3 cards that I don't want. Let's go ahead and discard Steward of Gondor. That's going to put 2 damage on Gandalf, and then we'll also discard, let's see what else, Hinemarth, and then I will discard a Good Harvest. And so, I discarded 3 cards. The total cost was 3, so Gandalf took that damage, and we made 3 progress. So we're almost there. We want to be careful not to advance. Gandalf comes back to hand. And during the travel phase, let's go ahead and play Sneak Attack, bring Gandalf into play, and lower our threat by 5. He comes back to hand at the end of that phase, refresh, and now we are in the refresh action window. Let's save this resource on Frodo. I'm going to go ahead and use Steward of Gondor. I'm going to play a Good Harvest and name a sphere. It's going to be Spirit. And so we can pay resources of any sphere. I'm going to spend a resource from Sam's pool to play Will of the West. Choose a player, shuffle that player's discard pile into his deck, remove Will of the West from the game. So that's removed from the game. All these cards shuffled back in. I made sure to play all 3 copies of Sneak Attack just to get our threat down as much as possible. And we're in refresh action window still. Can we draw cards here? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's play, during this action window, let's play We Are Not Idle to draw a card. I don't really have any other card draw. If I wanted to, I could play Seeing Stone. Let's go ahead and do that. Doomed 1. We're going to just raise our threat by 1 to grab out of our deck a Deep Knowledge. And here it is. Shuffle the deck. Now we'll play Deep Knowledge, Doom 2, draw 2 cards. Okay, I was trying to get a Peace and Thought just to accelerate card draw, but it's okay. I don't think I have any other way. I mean, I could do the Deep Knowledge thing again because we already have our Sarumans. So yeah, Doom 1. Let's grab a Deep Knowledge out of our deck. Where's it at? There we go. Shuffling the deck. We'll play Deep Knowledge, Doom 2, drawing 2 cards. Okay, here is Daeron's Runes. Let's go ahead and play that, drawing 2 cards. There's a Peace and Thought. We don't want to discard this. Will of the West is our only other copy. Let's discard. Do I have any trash, really? We'll discard a duplicate Hinemarth here. And then we're going to use Denethor's action to look at the top card. Okay, it's no campfire. We've got Test of Wills now. Let's play Deep Peace and Thought, exhausting 2 heroes and drawing 5 cards. We're still in the refresh action window all this time here. Let's play Daron's Runes, drawing 2 cards and discarding a Steward of Gondor. All right, we will just move on to the next round, I think. I mean, we are just taking our time, getting everything set up before. I want to get my threat under 30 before I advance, and I want to probably, just to really overkill, probably I'll wait until I play a second Will of the West before I advance. I kind of wouldn't mind showing you all the different things that happened during the first stage. At this point, we know what's coming out. We're going to cancel it with Test of Will. It's not really worth putting out fast hits yet. I'd rather hang on to this resource for card draw. Let's go ahead and sneak attack. No, I don't have a sneak attack. Can I draw any more cards? Not really. So we'll just play sneak attack from hand. Or just scan off from hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's play him and draw 3 cards. We will discard We Are Not Idle to draw a card. Well, we didn't discard it. We used the action. And we'll play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard Steward of Gondor. And we'll quest with Gandalf, but I'm not going to quest with Sam because if I do, I would advance, and I'm not ready to. Okay, so no Campfire, doomed 1, and we cancel that with Test of Will, the win revealed. Okay, we'll refresh, and during the refresh action window, I wouldn't want to play Peace and Thought even if I had it, so we're not going to do that, but let's use Denethor's action to reveal Dim Valley. All right, that's good. I wanted to show you how that works, but at the end of the round, Gandalf leaves play, and we'll play in response 3 copies of Valiant Sacrifice. So we drew 6 cards. All right, I'm going to start putting card draw. It's harder to see everything, so I'm going to put any card draw up here at the top, in my play area. It's still in my hand, but it's helping me out to sort of see what's card draw versus what's something I can actually play. Scene Stone is also card draw. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that was the end of the round. Next round. All right, here's our final sneak attack. So this round we're going to want to sneak attack Gandalf into play 3 times, and then I think we'll be ready to advance, or maybe I'll wait one more round before I do that. I don't know for sure, but I just want to get my threat down at this point. Let's go ahead and put out a fast hitch. We'll attach it to Bilbo so he can deal with Dim Valley. And at some point we want to have Hinnemarth out, so let's go ahead and spend the resource to put out Hinnemarth. And otherwise, this is coming out. We're not worried about that. Let's go ahead and sneak attack Gandalf into play and lower our threat by 5. We'll quest just with Gandalf, and we can make one more progress. Let's quest with, no, not with Bilbo. Yeah, with Bilbo, that's fine. We'll quest with Bilbo, and we reveal Dim Valley. Wait, what am I thinking? I did some wrong math. I forgot that there's, so I need to quest with Sam and Bilbo. There we go. I forgot this contributes threat. So we made 1 progress and did not clear the mountain pass. We'll go ahead and ready real quick. After quest resolution during this action window, we ready Bilbo, and we'll take this action, exhaust Bilbo Baggins and spend 1 Baggins resource to place 5 progress on Dim Valley. And Gandalf comes back to hand at the end of questing. During travel, we'll travel here. We'll use Hinnemarth's action to see what's coming. It's Stone Giant. We'll want to bury that. Okay, we will refresh. And during the refresh phase, we want to take this action because if we don't, at the end of the round, each player must discard a random card from hand. So let's exhaust Bilbo and go ahead and take care of that. Oops. So that leaves play. And during the refresh phase, we'll use Denethor's action to move this guy to the bottom of the deck, and let's see what's coming. Sometimes, it could be 2 stone giants in a row. That's very unlikely, but if it ever does happen, again, we've got a plan for it. Okay, so we would like to recycle our deck, I think, here. So let's go ahead and play... we'll wait a round. We can live without drawing a card for this next round. And so the next refresh phase is when I'll play my Test of Will, because I do want to build up some resources just a little bit. Okay, that's end of refresh. And so we are going to move on to the next round. So we did not draw a card, and we're just sort of taking our time. It's fine. Let's sneak attack Gandalf into play. Actually, I'm going to wait 2 rounds and just build up my resources. So we're going to lower our threat by 5 and quest like this and reveal Dim Valley. We made no progress. And we'll exhaust Bilbo to put 5 progress on Dim Valley. We had to spend one of his resources as well. Gandalf comes back to hand. Refresh during the refresh action window. We'll do this Dim Valley action again, and so that way we're not discarding cards. Let's use Denethor's action. Narrow ledge. Okay, so next round. Like I said, I was going to wait 2 rounds and just kind of build up resources, because we do have to prepare for stage 2. So turtling on purpose here. All right, so this is coming out, and I'm not quite ready to advance, I don't think. I'd like to wait just a little bit longer. So let's play sneak attack, lower our threat by 5. In fact, it's good to advance to stage 2 with your threat under 20, because then this becomes free. So let's do that, actually. Let's try to, next round we'll advance. All right, so we're going to quest. We just need to make 4 progress here so we'll send Bilbo. Okay, we reveal narrow ledge, no progress made. During the travel phase, we'll travel here. Gandalf comes back to hand. We will refresh, and then during the refresh action window, we're going to play our second Will of the West. Choose a player, shuffle that player's discard pile back into his deck. So that's how to play now. All these cards coming back to our deck. So just 21 to draw now. If I wanted to, I could try to get Peace and Thought out, and I could draw some cards. I already have Peace and Thought, though. So yeah, let's go ahead and spend Denethor's resource to exhaust 2 heroes. I forgot that this is actually in my hand. We're going to play Peace and Thought and draw 5 cards. So I'm going to put trash up here as well as card draw. So these are cards that are considered, they're in my hand. I just am trying to be able to see things. Okay, we're still in that refresh action window. Let's use Denethor's action. Okay, Wind with Rain is fine. Let's use Steward of Gondor during this refresh action window. We'll play 2 We Are Not Idols to draw 2 cards. Oh yeah, that's card draw. So let's put that there. We will go ahead and refresh. No, we already refreshed. So next round. Let's play this We Are Not Idle to draw a card. So you can see we're just building up our resources a little bit, just taking our time. I haven't really had to play a lot of Sarumans because we just haven't. I only really play Saruman if I ever see that coming up as a Galloping Boulder, because then Stone Giants had to play, and we just haven't had to do that. So sometimes there's playthroughs where I play him more than I am here, but it's fine. I'd rather not, because then my threat doesn't go up as much. Now, if I want to, I can advance right now. Well, when I bring Saruman in, it will keep me from... I'm going to wait. Next round is when I'll advance. I'll wait 1 more round, and then we'll advance next round. Let's go ahead and play Daron's Runes to draw... Well, there's 2 of them there. Let's play a Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards. And we're going to discard the Steward of Gondor. Let's play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards. And we'll discard the Steward of Gondor. So we only have 8 cards left in our hand. We're in planning still here. Let's go ahead and sneak attack Gandalf into play. Oh, I don't have sneak attack. So let's play... can I draw cards? I'd like to have a sneak attack. It's just in my deck here. I'm all right to not play Gandalf. No, I wanted to lower my threat. That's what I wanted to do. So let's play Gandalf from hand, maybe. Let's just play Deep Knowledge, Doom 2. Draw 2 cards. We'll play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards. And we'll discard one of these Good Harvests. Let's play Gandalf from hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's lower our threat. Okay, we drew. Well, I mean to do that. I meant to lower my threat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. All right, we can quest past this, I think, just with Gandalf and Sam. And we reveal Wind, Whip, Rain. We'll cancel that with Test of Will. And we made 3 progress and cleared that. And that only allows us this, while it's the active location, each player cannot commit more than 3 characters. We've not broken that rule yet. Okay, so Denethor's exhausted, so let's use Hinomorph to see what's coming. It's more like a grocer. We'll want to cancel that with Test of Will. Okay, at the end of the round, Gandalf's going to be discarded, and we can go ahead and discard him when he leaves play. Let's play a Valiant Sacrifice to draw 2 cards. And we will advance to the next round. So we've got ourselves set up here. We're going to play Saruman, bringing us to 25 threat. And then we'll be able to lower our threat to get in secrecy. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Okay, so we have 1 card left in our deck. This is coming out. We are going to cancel this with Test of Will. We need to get a couple of allies into play, specifically Saruman. So 1, 2, 3. Let's play him. Doomed 3. And we'll consider Stone Giant out of play. And then we need to play Beorn. He's a big piece of making sure we don't get swamped by a potential surge train of goblins in the next quest, or the next phase, stage. I'll get that right. So Beorn is, of course, tactics, so we need to play a Good Harvest action, name a sphere. Until the end of the phase, you can spend resources of any sphere when paying for cards that belong to the named sphere. So we'll go ahead and say tactics, and we need to pay for this with 6 resources. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That seems good. We'll play Beorn. In fact, let's take away 1 from Bilbo and put 1 back on Frodo. So we've got Beorn in play and Saruman. I don't need to place Gandalf's yet. Sneak attack, I can lower my threat in a later phase. I just want to get it down to 20 before the combat phase. So we know what's coming out, and we're ready to advance. We've got stage 2B at 15 progress, so all we need to do is quest with Bilbo and then ready him. And it's very important to do this. Sometimes this is a real helpful thing. Let's go ahead and play before staging. Let's play Expecting Mischief. I always put it up here just to remind myself I've played it. This can only be played during the quest phase before the staging step. And we reveal more like a grocer. When revealed, discard all Baggins resources. I'm going to play Test of Will to cancel that because I at least want 1 on Bilbo at this point. Okay, we made 1 progress and cleared the mountain pass. And so we advanced to stage 3B. It says, out jump the goblins, big goblins, great ugly looking goblins, lots of goblins, before you could say rocks and blocks. This is down to Goblin Town. When revealed, shuffle all encounter cards back into the encounter deck and set them aside inactive. So obviously all these discarded cards, these are out of play, is what the discard pile is considered out of play, like the victory display. But it's not inactive. This card is not inactive. It says here he's considered to be out of play. So same as the discard pile. So I kind of checked with the community, but Stone Giant should be shuffled into the encounter deck. So there's a question in my mind, should Stone Giant not be included in this? And then he would, at the end of the round, he'd come back into play. But since this is considered out of play, and he's defined as out of play, we'll shuffle him in. These are out of play for sure, but they're actually inactive. It says set this deck aside out of play, inactive. So inactive is different. So these are now made inactive. We move it to, I'll just move it here to encounter deck 3. We have no encounter deck for just a moment. Then it says the second encounter deck becomes the active encounter deck. So we take the second encounter deck, and it's 32 cards. We will shuffle it into the encounter deck. So we have a brand new Goblin Town encounter deck. Now we search the encounter deck for the Great Goblin and add it to the staging area. This will not, Expecting Mischief will not deal damage to the Great Goblin because he's not being revealed. He's being added. So let's search the encounter deck for Great Goblin. Here it is. Let's look at it real quick. 15 threat, or 15 engagement, I'm sorry. Progress cannot be placed on the current quest. I don't think that in the original quest that sentence was on the Great Goblin. That's a new thing, if I remember correctly. There's a force effect, which we'll look at in a minute. That's when he attacks us. Then we shuffle the encounter deck, which I've done. Okay, so side B of Down to Goblin Town says players cannot defeat the stage unless the Great Goblin is in the victory display. When revealed, reveal 3 encounter cards per player. So let's do that. We'll just kind of say these are the 3 reveal cards. However, Bilbo Baggins may spend X resources to reduce the total number of encounter cards revealed by X to a minimum of 1. So in the old quest, I could spend both of these resources on Bilbo and only reveal 1 card. But this Over the Misty Mountains Grim Nightmare version says that this when revealed is just a little bit altered. No more than X resources may be spent from Bilbo Baggins' resource pool, where X is the number of players in the game. So I can only spend 1, meaning 2 cards are revealed. So it's just a little bit worse than the regular. Okay, so we are going to reveal cards. Any enemies that are revealed, the first one would be dealt 2 damage. There's a Goblin Stalker, I think it is, that surges with 2 points of health. That's really the dream for that to be one that comes out, because then it won't surge. Okay, it's Goblin Prowler. He's damaged for 2. So, if this is Goblin Stalker, it won't be damaged. And it is not. It's Goblin Bent Swords. And it says if the Great Goblin is in the victory display, this card gains surge. He's not. And Goblin Prowler, this is a nightmare enemy. While the Great Goblin is in the victory display, he gets minus 30 engagement. Right now he's not. Force when Goblin Prowler engages you, discard a character you control. So our threat's way underneath these engagement costs, so we don't have to optionally engage either one of these. All right, so that's it for the revelation. Sometimes things can be more to our advantage than that. We have a few more enemies than I'd like, but it's fine. We can get rid of them with Gandalf. All right, so during the travel phase, we could, if we needed to, at this point, we could sneak attack Gandalf into play and destroy an enemy, which we're going to have to anyway. So during the travel phase, we have an action window here too. Let's go ahead and sneak attack Gandalf into play and do 5 damage to Goblin. Well, we'll destroy this one here. He's gone. Gandalf comes back to our hand at the end of travel phase because of sneak attack. During the encounter phase, we have to engage Great Goblin. So he engages us, and he gets a shadow card. All right, and so now, during this action window, I want to sneak attack Gandalf into play and lower my threat by 5, getting us in secrecy. So I've arranged everything. That's why I was kind of being real particular with moving on, because now I can play Risk Some Light for free because we're in secrecy. Because when the Great Goblin attacks us, there's a force effect. Discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it is a Goblin enemy, put it into play engaged with the defending player and deal it a shadow card. Just a little bit annoying if that happens. So what we're going to do is play for free because we are in secrecy. Secrecy 3. Action. Look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. You may select 1 card and move it to the bottom of the encounter deck. Return any unselected cards to the top. So we're just going to try to make sure an enemy isn't discarded here. So, next round I wouldn't mind Goblin Runners coming out. I don't think I'm going to... We don't want that. Okay, both of these. This is good, I think. Let's do it this way. So next round, Goblin Runners will be revealed, and we'll just destroy it with Expecting Mischief. That seems to be good. All right, so we'll just leave all these cards. We won't bury one. Okay, so now Great Goblin is going to attack us for 6. And what I'm going to do here is just chump. I mean, there's a few options. I can, if I want to, block the attack with Gandalf. I can chump with Hinnemarth. If I block the attack with Gandalf, I don't have enough firepower unless I use Beorn's action to destroy Great Goblin. So I don't really want to have to play Beorn again, and so I'm going to block actually with Hinnemarth. I'm just going to chump with Hinnemarth. And so he's going to attack for 6. It says when the Great Goblin attacks, discard the top card of the encountered deck. And we did. It's a treachery. So if it is a Goblin enemy, put it into play, engage with the defending player, and deal it a shadow card. But now, and it would attack us this round because we're still in the enemy attacks step. But we negated that with Risk Some Light. So 6 attack. Let's see what the shadow is. It's nothing. If there were a shadow effect that we didn't like, then we could cancel it with Test of Will. Or no, Hasty Stroke, which I have 1 copy of just for this particular occasion, because there's some that say attacking enemy can't be damaged or return it to the staging area. So he leaves play. And now I don't have to use Beorn's action to get 15 damage. I can just do it right here. 4, 7, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's just enough. And that allows us also to use Denethor's action. No, we don't even have to. But if we needed to, we could. But we know what's coming. So we'll destroy him. And he goes to the victory display. And that means that Goblin Prowler now is going to have minus 30 engagements. So it's going to be at 15 engagement. So we'll be sure to sneak attack Gandalf into play and destroy Goblin Prowler. Gandalf comes back to hand at the end of the combat phase. And we refresh. And at the end of the round, Saruman leaves play. And we move on to the next round. This won't be the final round. I think it'll take us 2 rounds to make the needed progress, but we're in the driver's seat. So if we want to play Hinnemarth, we can, but I suppose we could and should maybe. We know it's coming. We know that it's going to be, we want to play Expecting Mischief. So what we'll do here is, might as well get an extra point of willpower out. So let's play Hinnemarth, River Song. And now we will play Saruman. We just need 1, 2, 3. There we go. We can play Saruman, and he's going to have Doom 3. And when he enters play, we can consider him to be, out of play. So we don't actually have to sneak attack Gandalf in and get rid of him. All right, we will move on to the quest phase, and we need to play a Good Harvest to name Lore. And we'll spend a resource from Bilbo's, in the right action window, we're going to spend a resource from Bilbo's resource pool to pay for Expecting Mischief, but I'm just doing it right now. Let's sneak attack Gandalf into play and lower our threat by 5. And we're going to quest. Did I do the Doom 3? Yep. Okay, so we quest all out, including Hinnemarth, including Denethor, everybody, because we know what's coming the next few rounds. We've played Expecting Mischief using Bilbo's resource, converted from the Good Harvest. And we will reveal Goblin Runners. He's destroyed by Expecting Mischief. And so we made 16 progress. It always takes me 2 rounds to make the needed progress. But we're fine, because we know what's coming in the next round. We had 3 cards, and we knew what it was. It was a treachery coming out next round. Gandalf comes back to our hand at the end of questing, and then we will refresh. And at the end of the round, Saruman is discarded, meaning that this guy's back in play. But we just we don't have to worry about him that way. All right, Why did this blank out like that? That's weird. Did you see that? I don't know what just happened. That blanked out. Triggered an ability. That's really strange what just happened. I hope that, I don't know if I'm disconnected from the internet right now or something. We'll see. Let's just hope it works. Okay, so we know it's coming, and we just need to play a test of will to cancel it. We want to bring both Saruman and Gandalf into play. So let's go 1, 2, 3 to bring in Saruman, Doom 3. And then we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to play Gandalf. And we'll lower our threat by 5. We'll quest with everybody and reveal Chaos in the Cavern. Oh yeah, and whenever he entered play, he's considered to be out of play. When revealed, all engaged goblin enemies return to the staging area. Then each goblin enemy gets +1 threat until the end of the phase. I don't even have to play a test of will. I made 16 progress, and so we're at 32, and we won the quest. If the players defeat the stage, they've won the game. So really fun deck. I love this combination of Saruman, and he dooms. We raise our threat with Doomed, but to our advantage, and then Gandalf brings our threat down with all the sneak attacks, all the valiant sacrifices. Just a lot of fun. Lots of card draw, and you have to be very detailed with your approach to stage 3. But we have all the necessary tricks and stuff to deal with whatever comes out. Risk some light is huge, and it's just so much fun to take a enemy like Goblin Prowler and just negate it over and over again with Saruman or Stone Giant, as we saw. I think my favorite piece of this is just the Saruman piece. The idea that we can get around a setup guffawing of giants, that we can, whenever we see a Galloping Boulders is about to come out, we just play Saruman, put that Stone Giant out of play. Saruman takes the 3 damage. It doesn't surge. That's just so much fun to me. Well, hope you enjoyed the quest. 13 rounds, a little bit of a lengthy playthrough. I think we saw all the cards and how they function. We saw Fast Hitch against Dim Valley. Lots of card draw. That single hasty stroke for the Goblin Kings, the Great Goblin's attack. We are not idle, just helping us to have just less cards rather than the full complement of 50. And there's not really anything to really say about the encounter deck here. There's just a lot of goblins that look a lot like these, and we just have all the solutions. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I know I did. I really like that deck. I don't know. It was one of the more fun ones. I think I like the theme of it. I don't always build decks with theme, I suppose. And so having the theme of Saruman and Gandalf teaming up was fun. So maybe moving forward as the card pool opens up, I can try to move into more thematic decks, which would be fun. At some point, you can only see so many Denethor, Barivore decks before it just begins to get a little bit tedious. Well, I hope you enjoyed the playthrough, and thanks for joining me as always, and hope to see you again next time. Hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.